There comes a time in every man's life in which he makes friends, both fair weather and those he would trust dearly with his life. There comes a time in a man's life in which he discovers he has made enemies, both powerful and dangerous to his well-being and well-being of his loved ones. To paraphrase what was once said by a wise man, he who was once an enemy can no longer be so, once I make him my friend. From more than 2 centuries ago, during the time of the Redcoats, the times of the 13 colonies, the birth of the United States, the Redcoats, stifling the spirit, yearning for freedom from taxation without representation, cannonballs and rifles between Yankees and Redcoats, to the times of political strife during the American Civil War, in which the northern and southern states, the Union and the Confederacy, disagreed vehemently and violently so, in so much as to charge into battle, musket and bullets, brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor. In the 20th century, it was the Allied powers of the United States, Great Britain, France, and Russia against the Axis powers, Hitler's Nazi Germany, and Imperial Japan. To the gloomy, fearful days of imminent and impending sorrow, doom, and annihilation of the United States versus the Soviet Union, and vice versa. Then came the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the war in Afghanistan, and the Cold War of the United States against Soviet Russia. To the Iraq War. Countless brave, courageous, selfless men and women full of grit, some of the best that our nation has seen, have sacrificed through sweat, through tears, through blood, to protect what was so dear to us, to our families, to both you and I. It was President John F. Kennedy that said, "We must look inward, examine peace, believing that peace isn't attainable is to believe that it is unreal, and that is a dangerous defeatist attitude." The United States and the Soviet Union, we must extend an olive branch, as we have seen during the Cuban Missile Crisis. We must focus on peace, not victory, for victory often makes silent enemies, whereas peace has 2 opponents bow towards one another and shake hands. You are my opponent on the battlefield. It is merely a sparring match within the boxing ring. You are not my enemy. For an enemy is sworn in blood, an opponent merely a matter of circumstance. For only I am my own worst enemy. It was President John F. Kennedy who valued courage above all other virtues. And he said in a speech, "I now declare that the U.S. does not test or resume nuclear weapons, so long as that no other nation states do so." He said to look beyond antagonistic speech, for each and every man and woman must use his or her good judgment. Genuine peace must be the product of many nations, the sum of many acts. It must be dynamic, not static, changing to meet the challenge of each new generation. For peace is a process, a way of solving problems. Confident and unafraid, we must labor on, not towards a strategy of annihilation, but towards a strategy of peace. And that speech was made at American University, June 10th, 1963. President Ronald Reagan was the brilliant man who coined the term peace through strength. Peace through strength. For when we are strong, we do not attack, and there's no incentive for the opponent to attack when we are strong. In these times, perhaps even with the People's Republic of China, a very important and strong trading partner in the east of both Japan, a strong ally and once upon a time antagonist, as well as the United States, proud to call our very own home. As a nation, It is always the hope that the future of nations and of our people will bring about peace, so that our courageous, brave men and women in the military that have sacrificed so much for their fellow civilian brothers and sisters do not have to make the ultimate sacrifice or to perish in vain at the hands of the opponents on the battlefield. What will bring the world together is truth and peace, necessitating that each individual take the steps to extend an olive branch to their would-be enemies, their opponents on the battlefield, within their communities, their neighborhoods, and even within their families and churches. President Kennedy spoke of peace in our time, and peace for all time. Total war makes no sense, since a single nuclear weapon is 10 times as strong as an explosive force of the Allied forces. In all to all, it is blood, sweat, tears of fallen courageous sons and brothers, daughters and sisters, to never see their loved ones again as they ascend to heaven. Peace is rational and necessary. Antagonism between nations does not last forever. Paraphrased by President John F. Kennedy. I say, whether it be Great Britain or the United Kingdom, Germany, Japan, the former Soviet Russia, as well as how we see relations develop and improve with North Korea, Cuba, and Vietnam, as well as the People's Republic of China. President Reagan said in his wise words, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from being lost." There is nothing that can stop the human spirit that yearns for freedom, for the pursuit of happiness, the yearning for peace, to live peaceably. Whether divided at the 17th parallel, the 38th parallel, or from the Iron Curtain in East and West Germany, there comes a time in a man's life in which he neutralizes his enemies by laying down his arms and befriending them. Peace will come, and it will come quickly, as an olive branch from one nation to another, and it begins with every man, woman, and child at the individual level, at even the molecular level. Peace must come first and foremost from within. For there to be peace without, for man and woman, man to man, woman to woman, friends among friends, and among all nations, we must all learn from each other. Let there be peace.